Out in the pastoral hills of Fragments of Silicon.
All right, welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. I'm your host, Adam. Joining as always are Petty and Golix. Right, so let us get to what we colloquially call the news. Golix, why don't you go first?
Well, we are currently looking at a winter storm, a couple of months late for actual winter over the next couple of days. So I'm hoping we don't lose power or anything, knock on wood, but who knows? It shouldn't be bad tonight, though.
Hooray. And if you suddenly disappear, we know what happens. The Yeti's got you.
I should be able to rejoin a phone, but maybe not actually react to the thing. So
yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if activities work on phone, but we'll find out if we need to.
Don't jinx it.
Fair.
We have to say that a lot on this program.
Yeah, because Murphy's Law hates us about as much as it hates MSP.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay, we're probably a second or third.
Anyway.
Golix, you still there?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought we were... other than that, it's not a whole lot going on, I don't think. That's the main thing that's preoccupying my thoughts. I do have another model kit lined up to build if we do lose power, so...
Yay, models in the darkness.
Oh, yeah, I guess the other thing would be tomorrow, assuming we have power, I'm going to try to do my taxes using the IRS website, because my taxes are pretty simple, so it should have been easier, and I've heard the new website is,
something that should have happened decades ago? I mean, wait, what?
I've heard it's good, or, not hard to use.
I'm sure you'll tell us next week.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anything else?
I think that's about it.
All right, Betty, it's your bowl.
Oh, boy. All right, overall, up until today, the week was relatively uneventful. But due to Easter, it screwed my schedule entirely up. Saturday, we went down to the card shop. What would have been a day early, but they were closed on Sunday. And I bought the Alphamon, or you can Premium Keller figure, I guess it is. I want to say model, but it's not actually a model. It's one of the Bandai Premium figures.
Important distinction, because there is an Alphamon model, but the normal one doesn't have the Oryuken.
Yes, this is at one point was $140. I got it for less than $70, because, store going out of business. So that is now part of my collection, and I'm looking for a figure case for it, because I like Alphamon. He's going to be displayed when I have room for it. So there's that, and I also got they had one of the little starter decks of the original card game, and it had the Metal Garurumon and War Greymon Hollows in it that are going for $75, and I only paid $20 for the pack. So, hooray! So yeah, that was fun. Sunday we didn't do a whole lot just because it's Easter, nothing's open.
Mm.
And then Monday's where the crazy kind of begins. I got the stuff to repair the oven. So I performed that, and I learned a lot of things. Because it was going fine until I had to remove the bolt that was securing the old terminal block and was at it for a couple hours. That
Was
was
it like fused or?
rusted. The oven hadn't been serviced. The date in the manual has a copyright date of 85. And it's looking like it was using the original wire. So, yeah.
That's 40 years.
Yeah, that's a lot of time for a screw to rust to metal.
Mm.
And we were out of WD-40. Luckily, since we didn't need that bracket anymore, I was able to have my dad just come rip it apart. And it was kind of funny. He was thinking that, oh, I just wasn't, it was just going to be an easy fix. And then he came up and saw my bent screwdriver because I put that much force on it. And he was like, oh, and needed to go get some more tools. Like, yeah, no, buddy, this isn't going to be a simple job. Go get the rest of the tool bag. So yeah, we got that set up, and it didn't burn the house down. So yay! I'm still gonna keep checking it every now and then, just because this is the first time I've ever messed with wire nuts. So I hope I did it right. But if I'm here 1 week, cussing up a storm because I have to replace the terminal block again, you know what happened.
My favorite wire nut is a cable cashew.
God, I wish they had those. But no, porcelain sucks. But yeah, hopefully that's not a problem, and then we can see about next month just replacing the other two burners, since, again, factory original burners, they were going to eventually wear out, so might as well just replace them because they're cheap. And then, let's see, Tuesday, my dad had his job interview, and he has a job! Yay! He's going to be...
bullet dodged?
Kind of. His start date is April 29th. So it's a good thing Mom still has some savings. He didn't mention what his pay is going to be, but hopefully it's enough to warrant, an almost hour drive, one way. So.
I'm sure it pays more than working at Walmart.
Probably. And pay was more than nothing. But yeah, at least that's kind of handled. And then today was kind of crazy. First, we had therapy, my physical therapy, which that's going to be coming into an end soon because my dad's job is a Monday through Friday now instead of a overnight 4 nights a week. So we're investigating what options we can, but because I can't drive, I can't, I can't just go to therapy. And I don't exactly have the funds to, get an Uber to and from or a cab.
I think some services sometimes make home visits, but
yeah, I was about to suggest,
Adam, you sound like you're a mile from your microphone.
Hang on. I was about to suggest, a home visit. If your insurance allows that.
Insurance does not even cover the regular therapy.
There we go.
So I am paying out of pocket. I could not afford out of pocket home visits. The only reason I can afford therapy now is because they have a hardship program, because disability fixed income. So I have a severely reduced rate, and I don't think a home visit would fly in that program.
I think my insurance covers home visits to a certain extent.
Yeah, well, the thing, I don't know why Missouri Medicaid doesn't cover physical therapy for people over 21. It makes
I mean,
zero sense to me.
I'm going to assume because Missouri, red state,
Probably.
when in doubt, blame Republicans.
Yeah, that's probably the play.
That's my go-to, and it's never failed me.
No, and that's probably what's going on here because. Anyway, after therapy, we handled the we do trash on well, it goes out Thursday, but we gather it today. And I also got a haircut because I'm getting my ID renewed tomorrow because especially if the parents are all working 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, it's going to be real hard to go to the licensing office and get that renewed. Because you could not pay me enough to go to a licensing office on a Saturday.
Mm.
Especially because they only do one Saturday a month.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't feel like spending 3 hours at the DMV at minimum. So yeah, hopefully that doesn't take too long and then there's nothing else I have to do for the rest of the week. Oh wait, no, there actually is. We get to go, but this one's actually fun. We're going to KC because I'm going to go to Micro Center. My sister has a bookstore she wants to go to, and I'm going to be checking out a card shop down there and see if they have Digimon and see, because it's close enough. We might be able to make at least twice monthly run if we want to go play, card games. But it's definitely not, as easily weekly as the, local card shop.
Mm-hmm.
Which is no longer the local card shop.
We don't know when exactly they're closing the store, at least. They just said in April. So it could be tomorrow. It could be in 2 weeks. I don't know.
Still, it's not going to be existent soon.
Yeah.
That's the overall point.
Fair. But yeah. I guess that's it on my news. Oh, I have been playing a lot of Balatro. Balatro's fun. Go play Balatro.
Oh yeah, I picked that up the other day, and I cleared it on the second run.
Mm-hmm.
So I unlocked endless mode. And I'm not sure if I want to do that or start again, because I feel like I was reaching the limits of my go all in on two of a kind and full house, or I mean two pair and full house deck.
Yeah.
But,
Well, you also can get different decks and stuff like that, and more jokers.
yeah, no, I know. Like I said, I'm trying to decide if I want to try to see how far I can go with that one or start a new one. And I don't know if you can save them. Like, I don't know if you can save more than one run at a time.
Yeah, that I don't know. Anyway, that's it from me.
Yep. Okay.
I told you I did a lot this week.
Mm-hmm.
We know. We noticed. It's logged. Right? So I guess that
So, again, Adam, I can barely hear you.
I hope his mic's not going out. That would not be good.
No, I'm just a bit distant. Hang on. Oh, and that's right. I softened the microphone because let me adjust settings a bit here. Because I might have pushed it too far in the other direction.
Quick, stretch for time, Gulix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hang on. All right. How about now?
A bit better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How about now?
Better.
Hooray.
Yeah. All right. All right. Anyway, so back to the news. Let's see. Because it was Easter weekend, had an extended tour with the children.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was draining.
I would imagine, yes.
Like, they're very draining children. Like, And for Easter, they got to participate in the Easter egg hunt, which they seem to enjoy.
I mean, granted, they are
if-
at that age where that is still enjoyable.
Well, it's like maybe a bit too much because fights were starting to break out over finding eggs.
Oh, fun! It's that time of the child life cycle.
Oh yeah, very much so. Like so, yeah. Also, there was a yelling match over a broken statue, that I won't get into further. Like, but
Fun.
that kind of put a damper on the Easter festivities. But the children seem to enjoy things overall. And let me see, in future events, next week I finally get my labs done.
Oh man.
It's like, I was supposed to. I was supposed to get this and my next doctor's visit done last month, but given everything that's been going on, it's like I'm only next Monday going to be able to finally get these labs done, which means I'm also going to have to push off my doctor's appointment because it's scheduled for next Thursday. And the labs themselves will be done. It's like I will. The lab I go to, they send the information directly to me. Like,
That's
so
weird.
I'm like, so I'll know the results, but the thing is, I'm going to have to push that off because we're looking at 3 days in between the lab visit and the scheduled doctor's appointment. That's too short a window for them to get the labs. And that's important because based off of the lab reports, they'll make medicine adjustments and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I'm sure that they won't be too happy about it, but I'm like, just a week's delay this time, as opposed to having to delay things a month. I mean, honestly, I'm more concerned about stress levels right now because that might be what's behind the spiking blood pressure that I've been talking about. Because it's been a stressful time.
Nah.
I mean, and that's not going to decrease in the short term. So, I did talk to not the doctor, but but the nurse practitioner about this. They said that at worst I'll have to take new blood pressure medication, if it comes to it. The thing is, last time that happened, my blood pressure normalized. So who knows?
Right.
Let's see. In gaming news, let's see. Today I picked up a couple of Humble bundles. I picked up the Boomer Shooter with a Vengeance bundle and the Earth Defense Force bundle. The full set.
Oh man.
Boy, that was a lot of DLC in the Earth Defense Force.
I would imagine.
Well, it's just like it was an exercise in tedium, just redeeming all the individual DLC. Like they came in that package.
Yeah, because they don't have the bundle keys anymore. Because
no, they do, and it hooks up to Steam, same as always. It's just even doing that for so much DLC is tedious. On the other hand, I have an extra code for Earth Defense Force 4.1.
Oh man.
Like I already own that. So if someone here wants it, I can send that later.
Noted.
Like anyway, and in terms of actual playing game outside of reviews, I started up Mega Man 11 because I'm in the mood for something actiony.
Shooty shooty bang bang.
Mega Man fills that niche. Well, Anyway, so that's the news for the week. So we turn to our main event. As mentioned on Sunday, we were originally supposed to have our good friend John on the program, but he told me last week that he literally had nothing new to talk to us about. So that's been delayed until next season, which is starting up in late May. Hopefully by then, John will have some new visual novels to talk with us about. But in the meantime, we return to our reaction series. And as promised last time we did this, we are looking at the Computer Chronicles. If you need an introduction to this, the Computer Chronicles is perhaps the seminal documentary series, at least here in America, in regards to early computers, at least from the microcomputer boom of the late 70s and the early 80s, all the way to 2002. So, right into the Windows XP era. That's a large span of time, especially
I
for
thought they was only
technology.
like pre-Windows 9X.
No, I'm like
Damn.
I said, yeah. The official timeline is 1983 to 2002. Although apparently a local version of the Computer Chronicles started up in 1981, according to Wikipedia. Like, so that's a large stretch of time. And
Very much
it's also
so.
worth noting, it's also worth noting that the Computer Chronicles, it is what it says on the tin, as it covered all aspects of the computer, which means sometimes they would be looking at internet software, sometimes they would be looking at the latest version of Windows. Like there's at least 2 episodes on Windows 95 out there. Like,
Windows 95 is
so
probably one that we could go into in depth if we do another reaction, because I have a lot to say about Windows 95 and 98.
Oh yeah, they got Windows 3.0 there. I'm not sure if they got 3.1. Like I said, they got an episode on Windows XP. Like that's one of the last ones, but they got that. They, it's like
Windows XP,
know,
aka probably the second best Windows operating system of all time.
Yeah, they got Windows 98. They got various versions of Mac OS episodes. They got episodes on the Commodore 64. An episode on telephony.
Oh God!
Which is the stuff that is powering us right now. By the way, like my point is they have a lot of episodes covering a range of topics. Not everything is appropriate for this program. Like I don't think we want to do an episode on an episode featuring business software.
Yeah,
which they do have.
Though some of the hardware stuff will probably just be you guys locking me and Mac in a room together and watch us geek out for half an hour.
Possibly, it depends on the episode.
Yeah.
Because once again, we're looking at a lot of different eras. So anyway, I thought it was appropriate to pick a computer games episode, of which they have many.
Yeah.
This is one that showed up in the recommendations tab that I got from YouTube. So this is the 1988 edition of computer games. Apparently, this is the second part of a 2-part look into computer games that they were doing this year. Also worth noting, because the show spanned multiple eras, it's got multiple looks to it. This is knee deep in what I like to call the corporate age era of the Computer Chronicles.
I can see that.
You will, very much so, but without further ado, let's get into it.
Alrighty. Ah, yes. The local, yeah.
Yeah, dig those fancy 1980s computer graphics.
about game software? How do they work the bugs out of those? Well, in rooms just like this one, here
All
at
right.
PBI Software in Foster City, California, where designers and testers bang away at keyboards, joysticks, and mice to make sure the games
God,
work
that
just
room
right.
is
Indeed,
about
the
as
R&D
80s as you can get.
is just as complicated
So
as
we're
the
just
work
letting
goes
that
into
bang on your
experienced workers
joystick comment
program.
slide.
Today we continue our two-part look at game software
Yeah, we
in this
are,
edition of the
because
Computer
we have
Chronicles.
some taste here at Fragments of Silicon. I'm
We
lying
do.
through my teeth, but
Anyway, anyway, so we get computerization through the ages, and keep in mind the latest here. This is the latest as of like the 1980s.
The Computer
Which
Chronicles
is
is made possible in part by CompuServe, featuring an online reference library.
Yeah.
Wall
By the way,
Street
we're not
reports,
completely
at-home
commercial
shopping,
free here
airline
because
reservations,
they got to announce
games,
who
and
paid
hundreds
for
of other
this
services.
program in
yeah,
the tradition of PBS.
Helping people get the most from
So
computers.
CompuServe served as a paymaster this episode.
don't call that number, please. Oh God, McGraw-Hill, fuck them.
Software and languages cover developments in
Yes.
computer technology worldwide.
Remember, kids, pirate McGraw-Hill books.
I don't think they own Byte anymore, though.
Yeah, still go pirate
This looks
McGraw-Hill
natural.
books. Yeah, very much
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and my opponent over here is Gary Kildall. We're playing an incredible game called Falcon. We're each flying our own F-16s.
Oh God,
These
Falcon.
PCs are connected
Yes.
by the communications ports so that I see Gary on my screen, he sees my plane on his screen.
Wonder how long that
Also,
took
Gary
to
has a
set
black
up.
box of flight recorder
Because
in
you
here.
know,
Flashes, I always do.
I
If you
need
go
to
back and
see
look at the
what
flight
they're
recorder, you see
using
what
on
I
the
did and see
back
what
end
kind of
there.
mistake
If they're
I made. These
using
games are so sophisticated, but some parents, I think,
probably a
worry that maybe their
token ring
kids
would
spend too
probably
much
be the
time playing
easiest
computer
setup
games.
for
What
the
do you think?
time.
Well, the games can be very,
It's a
very
local
addictive.
network, they said, so.
Kids first
Yeah.
introduction
I mean,
to
they said
computers,
connector
playing
port,
mouse,
so.
things like that. There are obvious things like hand-eye coordination.
Maybe, since it's a 1980s episode of the Computer Chronicles, we have secret computer maverick Gary Kildall co-hosting. Don't know who he is, look him up.
Yeah, he's probably a topic of discussion on his own.
But you know, it's I've got
You're probably right there, but it depends on how much we want to talk
We're
about
going to take a look at some of
CPM.
the hottest new games for two machines,
Fair.
the Macintosh and the IBM PC. Among them, Chuck Yeager's Advanced Flight
Oh man,
Trainer, a
IBM
helicopter
PC.
simulation called Apache Strike, and one heck of a golf game called Mean 18. Now, as Gary said, computer games can be educational. We're going to start out by going to a school where a teacher is using
Oh man,
computer games to
edutainment.
teach her children.
Educational software has come a long way since the first method of spelling drills.
That's another
found their
sign
way
it's,
into elementary schools.
you know, from the long ago
Teachers now
times,
have a
because
choice of
we're really
role-playing
concerned
adventure
about this
games
software
that
being
entertain
educational.
and teach.
Hmm.
At
Like,
Crocker Middle School near San Francisco,
Oh my God, is that an
teacher
Apple
Donna
II?
Hauer uses a game called The
Probably.
Other Side that simulates international conflicts.
We do a lot of different kinds of
Okay,
problem-solving
I gotta admit, I
strategies.
never had
And
this
some of the
particular
goals
piece of
of the class
software
are to learn how to
in
Yeah.
my
collaborate,
classroom.
to learn how to work in a cooperative
Same.
group and make
I'm
decisions
like,
together.
you gotta admit,
Another one
mine
is to
was
be able to gather
the
information and
greatest
extrapolate
hits, if you
information
will.
from that information
Oregon
to feed back to
Trail,
others.
Carmen
And this game
San
is a nice setting
Diego,
for that.
Number
Each
Crunchers,
team of 4 students
Odell
has
Lake.
to build a bridge to the other team's
Mhm.
country and must compete.
You know, if
for
you're a
limited
certain age and you
resources and money.
had
Players divide their time between
computers in
competing
your school,
and the
you're
country's
probably
tables,
familiar
where
with
they
all
plan
of these.
strategy and review their
At a certain
progress.
age,
I found
I
in my
think
years of teaching,
probably
Right.
my
the
era in
students
school was probably
want
the
to be
last
put
time
in a
they had
situation
stuff with like
where they're
Oregon
acting
Trail
as
and
a
Carmen
guide,
San
where they
Diego.
actually have to
And
You'd be
those are
surprised
eventually
how long
some
those
sort of
things
reward, just like there is
lasted.
in
Also, you got to keep in mind, schools kept outdated computers around a
And
lot
one thing about
longer
facing
than
another
other
teacher
places did.
Yeah,
than
but
reading about
you
it
know,
and-
some of our
and really
younger
reciting
audience
facts.
probably
Donna
they know
Hauer's
of
students may
them,
not be ready for the
but they
State
may not have
Department,
saw them
but
at
their class
school.
game
They
seems to be
probably
having an
looked
effect.
them up.
During
You
the
know,
recent Reagan-Gorbachev summit, they discussed the likely
Reagan,
strategies
Gorbachev.
used by
Oh
the two
God,
sides.
no.
Not bad for a group of kids in their early teens.
Macintosh
game.
games.
What is an oxymoron?
Yeah, no fucking shit. I'll take oxymorons for 200, Alex.
That's not true. They had some.
Well, obviously, because they're looking at a couple of them here.
Zucker of Silicon Beach Software.
Peter, we talked about the kids getting all hung up on computer games. Is your game any different?
Oh, very definitely. This is a game that adults really like to play.
What's the idea behind it?
Well,
Go
it's
on.
a strategy war game, and over here I've got.
I mean, by adults, you mean like
the white
50-year-olds
represents water,
of the
the
time.
gray represents land.
Oh my
Like, it
god,
doesn't really matter
It's an
that.
area that we don't know anything
gray
about.
scale
We
that they had
find
to
out
use.
about it by moving some of our
They are
pieces
developing for a
and
Macintosh.
I am
Like,
aware,
you know,
but oh my god.
And selling a built-in color monitor in one of those Mac boxes is
that's not until the 90s, I think.
We are
right.
like,
It's more
yeah.
it's more expensive to do built-in and impossible to post upgrade. So
my strategy
Right.
is to conquer this
yes.
island. To do
There's the
that,
subtitles
I've
button.
loaded troop transports with troops,
The
and I've dumped them off up
one of the
here.
gentleman's mic's really
This
low.
creates a lot of confusion and draws him over here. In the meantime,
Fair enough.
I've loaded up a whole bunch more.
And you can't sound boost them.
And dumped them off all
Yeah.
along here.
Unless, not without access to a time machine. Yeah.
This is the screen that you normally use when playing the
Now, I
game.
will say one of the overall drawbacks to looking at the Computer Chronicles is it's a lot drier than a lot of potential programming for this. Like, you know, it doesn't have the, let's call it cheese factor that GamePro TV had and other potential things.
Yeah.
So
No,
would you normally be moving
no, this is literally buttoned down. Like they're wearing fucking suits and shit.
Oh yeah.
Light pieces are my pieces.
Which is
And they're
another
literally
sign that
name
this is
dropping like IBM and stuff like that.
I mean, you were supposed to wear a suit if you had a job that involved computer until I don't know,
So the key to the game is capturing
the late
Well, that
90s
goes-
probably.
That actually ties back to what I was talking about in the intro here, because you actually see that in their clothing. Like when you look at a 1990s episode of the Computer Chronicles, oh god, is it Biz Kaz Fry all the way? Especially later on into the 90s.
That's exactly right.
Peter, I'm going to ask you to
Yeah,
get your program.
here you can probably get away with a polo, but
You have two games.
Yeah, no.
This one's called Beyond Dark Castle, which you described
Now,
as kind of
you can see that the
cartoon, which is a great
daringness of the wardrobe is not wearing a suit jacket.
oh yeah.
You control the actions of
Or
the main
in this
character on the
in the case of the guest,
There's a lot
not
of
wearing
detailed
an
animation
actual
and,
necktie.
cartoon-like
Mhm.
digitized sound
Or
effects.
gasp, having the buttons of your polo unbuttoned.
Yeah, the actual programmer is a little bit looser because they, sit in basements coding.
Yeah.
I know that was a joke, but I'm pretty sure some of our dev friends would take offense to that.
I'm throwing rocks right now.
I'd say
Suppose we
less so
probably do
now.
have some people who were devs in the 80s.
Yeah, several.
Yep.
This is not strategic conquest.
No. No.
Okay, and you're trying to get to the end to get the...
To get one of the magic orbs that I need.
Oh my god, the graphics here are a sight to behold.
At the end of this swamp,
If you can see them.
there's a guard shaft.
I can.
One of the 5 magic orbs is
I wish I couldn't, but I can.
Private little helicopter thing, is that it?
I don't know. I've seen worse.
And I believe we're almost there.
I mean,
Yeah.
Mostly
fair.
because Adam makes me review games on the season on the not the Spectrum, but the other one that can only do the huge block colors.
Got him.
Oh, the ZX Spectrum,
No, the other
the
one.
Amstrad CPC.
And now
Probably that one.
and claim the orb.
Now, granted, those are British computers, so they will not be appearing in
And
these
all I need to do now is
episodes.
slide back out and place it on a pedestal in the anteroom, and
No.
then go get the other 4.
Right, I think that's a pretty good description.
Have to look at British programming for that.
I want to ask you about the other game you
I
have
have
here,
far
the
too
most
much
Apache
sobriety to
Strike.
look at British
You're flying
computer
helicopter, it's not
programming.
really a helicopter simulation, is it?
No, it's not really. It's an
I'll keep that in
action fantasy
mind.
Is what I would call it. The real objective that we had in designing Apache Strike was to get a real good.
Oh
action
man,
feel.
Apache Strike, I vaguely remember this one.
Get my pulse pounding, Eric.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start it up. I'm going to start on level 20.
I'm trying to remember if that was from Nova Logic.
What's happening here?
Systems go.
I'm flying the helicopter.
Admittedly, for the time, this was amazing.
And And these are skyscrapers that I'm flying through.
Honestly, this reminds me of the Star Wars arcade,
Find the strategic
but with a helicopter and black and white.
right-hand side of the screen.
Yeah.
Ouch.
But like just the effects going on here
Is the
for
bearing distance to
88
the
was
strategic defense group. Now I'm
impressive.
47 blocks away.
Just to see that screen cracked in the right. What happened there?
But you can actually do a really good job with
Very useful to have.
emulating depth if you keep the backgrounds to simple lines.
Which adds to the challenge on the more difficult levels.
You just have to know where you're going, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's why we got the base of base wireframes going on here.
Okay, what's the voice we hear?
That's Linda, the lifelike inboard narrative damage assessment computer. And that's actually the digitized voice of Oops.
Yes.
One of Silicon Beach's programmers.
We're asking you to talk and fly a chopper at the same time. I realize that's difficult.
And I believe the gentleman was flying this with a mouse?
What here?
Strategic defense computer.
It's a Macintosh, so probably. I mean, that was like the big selling point of the Macintosh back in the day. Well, one of them.
Yeah.
You know, it was the most mouse-ready computer that you could really get in the 1980s.
Yeah,
you know,
you had to add that thing on there because Xerox existed. You weren't buying one, but they existed.
You can start on level 120 or 40.
Their efforts didn't really pan out commercially.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Because, you know, they're Xerox.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Actually, smooth operation, the smooth picture movement looks really, really good. How do you accomplish that anyway?
What this is 3D animation with hidden surface removal, and the enemies are also have surfaces removed and are shaded. Bill Applin's
Take that, consoles of the 1980s.
I mean, yeah.
Makes the game really smooth.
Yeah, it looks good.
Eric, what's the next step? What's the next technology thing that's going to make games even better than they are now?
There's a new technology on the horizon called compact disc interactive.
I hate the people who have to switch machines between cuts on there. Their lives must have been hell.
What are the current projections on when that's going to arrive?
Oh, yeah.
No, the CDI is not cool.
Maybe 19.
Okay, that's not true. The CDI had a use case. It was not gaming.
The CDI was a cool gimmick.
Peter, real quick, what's next?
With faster computers, more AI.
Jeez.
You never know what's around.
AI was a buzzword in '88. Yeah.
In the same room. Nowadays, you can actually play a real-time computer game against an opponent anywhere in the country. Wendy Woods tells us how.
This is The Island of Kismai, a Dungeons and Dragons type of game, and Michael Orkin, a statistician who's designed and
Oh
played
boy,
a share of games,
it's the return of Rogue.
is playing it for the first time with 2 other people 2,000 miles away in real time via the
Those state-of-the-art ASCII
This is
graphics.
an example of what's called a multi-user game.
You would
Several
know.
people can be online
Oh
playing
man,
any one
multi-user
game
games.
simultaneously.
I hope to
They're
God
not
he's
your
not playing via
arcade-type games
dial-up
with
because,
stunning
oh
graphics.
God.
The visual display consists of the basic characters that can be sent
It
across
looked
the
like a
phone lines
LAN?
to all types
Oh god,
of
they
people.
literally actually said basically state-of-the-art ASCII graphics.
Dashes and dollar signs represent doors,
Once again, we're in
numbers, or
1988.
treasure, for
Plus,
instance. But
this is a
graphics are
MUD.
not the selling point for
Yeah.
multi-user games.
It's different. It's kind of fun
Look.
to do it this way. And if you're playing it by
Oh,
yourself,
God.
of course, you can.
Of course, it's provided by CompuServe.
Oh yeah.
Remember, they funded this episode.
Yeah. Hey, did you know CompuServe funded this episode?
Things their way, and so you might. In fact, that's kind of fun.
Well, I mean, they told you up front. In fairness,
I hear they serve Compass.
Imagination is a big part of the
That
appeal of
hurt.
these
I will
games.
destroy you.
Players can
I'll
take
help.
on identities of their alter egos. Getting hooked on a game like this can be expensive, but there are plenty of people willing to make
You
Oh,
have no
no.
idea, lady.
You
Oh,
have-
God.
Even more than the 30 games
You
online
seriously
now.
have no idea what
For the
what
Computer Chronicles,
horrors
I'm Wendy Woods.
in monetary malfeasance this would lead to. And of course,
PCs.
since we're looking, well, I mean, we're looking at computer games. Of course, simulations are going to be a big part of the equation.
Oh yeah. And yeah, some assistant director probably broke their back setting that IBM up.
Ed, you talked about your program.
I mean, that was just lifting the CRT.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's a lot of nostalgia for it, for it because of the lack of input lag. But I'm like, look, as someone who had to lift a lot of CRTs, I will never miss them.
Oh God, I still have a CRT I need to get rid of. Just
Give myself some power and start paying attention to the program.
And once again, like, you're going to see a lot of flight sims around this time because that's really one of the big genres that showcased graphical technology of the age.
Yeah, kind of like the sandbox today.
Or the FPS, like if we look at the 90s or early 2000s, you know, because remember, we're not just talking about consoles. Although there is an episode on that. That's a few years later. But the point is, like, they're showcasing the technology. And that was especially important for computer users because, remember, these things are fucking expensive.
Oh yeah, that machine they're on probably ran about 1,500 at base.
Probably.
And
we're
that's not
talking in
accounting for
1980s.
inflation. Yeah, I was about to say that's not counting for inflation.
And the trick is to follow his.
So, they're dropping, some things never change. This is something that has never changed. PC users dropping a lot of money on the latest graphical software, and they want to make sure it's showcased properly. Yeah,
I mean, this is impressive. For another one that is impressive for the age.
Yeah, and of course, since we're on, I'm assuming an IBM compatible, it's looking a mite more impressive than an original Macintosh. The Macintosh was pretty capable for what it was, and that was basically for the 80s first PC. Or microcomputer, however you want to frame it, versus something like this, where you actually had to know command prompts and shit.
You have an SR-71 in there. What else do you simulate?
We simulate a wide variety of planes, everything from World War I spods and stop with camels to
from EA.
Experimental test planes and the X-1. World War II, pretty much.
EA before you became evil.
Or at the very least, you were a lot less evil.
Fair.
You don't have any control anymore. There's no more air. But
John, I can understand the flight simulator. How do you simulate golf on a computer? That seems harder to imagine.
Ah, yes, the golf game.
Probably a little easier than what Ned did with his program.
Since we're in
quite as much concentration to play. So
we're in 1988, they're probably going to be cribbing from NES Golf. I mean,
probably.
like every golf game after that particular piece of software pretty much borrowed the power stroke mechanic from NES Golf. It's secretly one of the most influential games of all time.
That nobody really talks about, yeah.
Practice any one of the 18 holes.
Right, because it's a golf game.
We're going to begin the game
it's like sports games in general, especially old sports games, don't get a lot of coverage.
Here you see an overview of Pebble Beach, the 18th hole.
Even though they're always going to be some of the most popular or,
there are people who their only gameplay purchase is whatever sports franchise they like gets yearly release.
The text portion of the
right.
is recommending a driver based on the distance that I have left to the hole. If you ever get stuck, you can also press escape at any time, and that will remind you of all of the various key commands that you need in order to play.
Ah, yes, key commands.
Now, this is looking a bit more complicated than, like basic stroke swing stuff.
And the third one is actually the most crucial timing for...
which I suppose that gets into the simulation part of golf simulation.
Go to the left,
Indeed.
go to the right. So here I want to go. I'm going to tap it right now to start. Tap it again. Tap it again.
Yeah, but there's the thing I'm talking about, the power meter. That's right from NES Golf.
Some physical coordination you've got to do here in terms of the timing of the keystroke. You're hitting the spacebar 3 times.
Right. So it's simple keyboard input, which makes
and the three
but at the same time it does require timing, which will give people
keystroke thing. Again, that's directly from NES Golf.
We find ourselves at the position where I hit the ball, and I have 294 yards left to the hole. The computer is recommending a 3-wood because that's the club that will give me the maximum distance. So I'm going to try hitting it again. Again, it's 3 times.
Take his word for it, because when it comes to golf clubs, yeah, bit clueless.
Yeah, golf isn't exactly any of our forte. We aren't exactly Rick.
I can explain the clubs, but that's about it.
That's the real course.
Right.
Well, it's like I do know in general you want to use the wood clubs to drive, and the irons are closer, and you use a putter to putt.
Right behind the tree.
The higher the number, the higher the inclined angle, or lower the incline, the more of an incline rather than a straight hitting face it is.
Cursor key again, I can aim again to the right, and if I wanted to, I can go in a complete.
Weirdly enough, I feel like I'm looking at King's Quest.
I kind of see what you mean.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hit it about 70%.
I think it's a combination of the trees and the golfer's clothing here. It's shockingly close to Sir Graham.
I mean, they only have so many pixels.
I know, and so many colors to work with.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Depending on IBM, they probably had like 64 color at best.
That's no 16.
Fair. 64.
No,
yeah.
I mean literally 16.
Now we're going to go to an overhead.
Yeah, you got you got your primary colors, you got your secondary colors, you got your less saturated versions of same,
Right, 28 feet.
and
black, white, and 2 shades of gray usually.
Yeah, because these are EGA graphics. The next jump was VGA, which was 256.
Oh, I hit it.
Oh, sorry, that was pretty close. You got one more shot.
Look, you made this game.
And I still ended up.
Why are you shit at it?
I still ended up with a birdie.
I mean, fair.
Now, there's my
I know the actual answer is because they're live demoing.
Yeah.
Look, you're the one who does the live demoing on this program, so you know.
I'm currently having flashbacks over here. Don't mind me.
I find it very simple, and people who don't even really play golf also enjoy playing it too.
It's like some sort of weird feedback loop through time.
News and
reviews.
Random
access.
Go fuck yourselves.
In the random access file,
I don't think anything is going to be random about this.
Intel has introduced a new 386SS microprocessor. It features 386.
Ah, yes, the microprocessor.
But with a slower 16-bit bus.
This is how they talk back then.
I am aware. It doesn't make it any less hilarious in 2024.
The 386SX will
Also, credit to having a news lady doing this segment.
Yeah, fair.
Researchers have built a super chip called a Blitzen. It has 1.1 million transistors on a chip 1 centimeter.
I have literally never heard of this, so I'm assuming it went nowhere.
Probably.
And at Gazelle Microcircuits in Santa Clara, California.
Though the 1.1 billion transistors is fucking hilarious. Think about how many are in my fucking Ryzen chip in my computer right now.
Once again, technology marches on.
Increased processing speed by more than 25%. Digital Research is trying to bounce.
Ah, yes, digital research.
Operating system called DRDOS.
That's kind of what you. Well, that's for digital research.
I'm aware, but just oh boy, that's a can of worms on its own.
No doubt.
Oh wait, what?
386.
Okay, it fixed itself.
38625 is reported to be up to 60% faster than IBM's new PS2 Model 70.
Ah, yes, the compact beat the IBM.
Which is the first computer built around Intel's new
No. They also mentioned the fucking PS2 operating system.
Paul Schindler.
No, I'm not.
What the fuck?
See,
I'm wearing 3D glasses because it's the 80s.
One of the most famous text games of all, Leather Goddesses.
Oh God.
Now available in a new.
He has the leather goddesses of Phobos. He's allowed to talk about that on this program? Hint. It's softcore porn, or thereabouts.
You get the aforesaid 3D comic book. You also get a sheet of scratch and sniff squares marked under penalty of unspeakably painful death at the hands of the letter goddesses of Photos. Do not scratch and sniff until the story tells you to do
Photos.
so.
What
And
the
shades of
fuck?
you get an invisible clue book in which you use a really magic marker
Ah,
to
yes,
make
the
clues
DRM
appear.
book.
Now, there's not much to
No. That's the hint book. I had an Invisi Clues book. I know this thing. This is from Infocom.
If you say you're 13 and then change your mind.
See, my dad was really into interactive fiction. So he didn't have Leather Goddesses of Phobos. At least, not that I knew of.
Hard to offend from Infocom in Cambridge, Massachusetts. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Paul Schindler.
IBM has confirmed that it is developing a trade-in program to encourage owners of PCs, XTs, and ATs to trade up to a PS2.
Nice flub.
Analysts are saying IBM is also hoping to speed up the acceptance of the PS2 as the new DOS standard. The magazine Macintosh Today is reporting
Yeah, that didn't exactly pan out.
No, it did not.
The magazine says there will be a laptop Mac, a 3D
Well, I mean, you never know those kind of things at the start.
Oh, yeah.
called the Tower.
Well, I mean, they were using Microsoft to power that. At the same time Windows was a thing. IBM weren't the smartest bunch of people in the room by this point. There are documentaries about this, by the way.
Yeah.
The reason it stopped being called IBM compatible.
I'm Cynthia Steele.
The Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by CompuServe.
Now to remind you of
Library, Wall Street Report.
Thank you for bringing us this particular episode, I suppose. It's a shame that you no longer exist, I suppose.
You exist in our hearts.
From computers.
I'm lying.
Not mine. Yeah, not mine. I never had CompuServe. I had Prodigy.
Same. Also, don't forget to pirate McGraw-Hill books, because fuck that company in the ass.
Cover developments in computer technology worldwide.
Remember, it's not the comp you have, it's the comp you serve.
Week's Computer Chronicles. Send $3 to PTV.
Oh my god!
Post Office Box 701, Kent, Ohio 44240. Please indicate program date.
Oh god, that is hilarious.
Not as hilarious as this music.
Yeah, somebody was playing around with a VIC-20. You can hear the SID chip.
Anyway. I mean...
Ah, yeah, special thanks Tandy Corporation. That's another trip to hell we need to go down to, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't Tandy like Radio Shack's brand?
Yeah. Apparently, this theme song was called Byte by Byte by Craig Palmer for the Network Music Library. It's not to be confused with the second theme song the show had.
Beta test their serious business program. What about game
All right,
software?
let's
How does
get
work
to
bugs out of
the...
those? Well, in rooms just like this one, here at
Why
PDI
can't I
Software
pause?
in Foster City, California.
That's a good
Designers and
question.
testers bang away at
I hope you have a good answer.
Alright, it mutes. That's fine. This'll do.
Yeah. Anyway.
Alright, so any last thoughts on the Computer Chronicles?
I mean, that was
it sure did chronicle some computer.
Well, I mean, it did its job effectively. Like,
and there are
like
others
I said,
on these we can go into, because...
Yeah. It's an interesting look, but it's not quite as fun to cover as, you know, like GamePro TV.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of an interesting piece from a historical angle, just because...
Right. Oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Oh, yeah, like I said, and, you know, there are other episodes that will look completely different in pretty much every aspect, depending on where you pluck from.
Fair.
I'm like, but I think next time we do this, we'll look at some direct corporate advertisements, as we'll look at what Sega did to sell the Sega Saturn here in America.
Oh god,
boy.
we're going back to that hell?
Wow, we're going to spend an entire episode looking at nothing?
You're an ass.
I'm like, oh no, it wasn't nothing.
I know, I'm kidding.
We wish it was nothing.
Oh no, it was something.
Now I have one question, Adam. Japanese or English?
Oh, we're looking at the North American stuff.
Oh, so we don't get to see the fun stuff?
Oh, this will be fun. Maybe. Like, I can't even describe what this thing is. You'll have to experience it for yourself next time we have a hole in our schedule.
You're a monster.
Oh, you have no idea. I do, because I've seen this thing before.
I was about to say, I do because I hold the cards.
Yes. Anyway, see, that's the advantage of being the leader of the troop. But anyway, we have other things to move on to. So, Betty, if you can cue up the music to move on to the topic of discussion.
The music did happen. It's just a lot of things.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Anyway, so welcome to the topic of discussion. So this week we are talking about Gearbox software. If you recall listening to last week's MSP in the entertainment news segment there, we did break the news that the much embattled and maligned Embracer Group has agreed to sell Gearbox software to Take-Two Interactive for like $450 million. I don't remember the exact amount off the top of my head, but thereabouts. Which ends Embracer's ownership of said company and put Gearbox to, I think, where everyone expected Gearbox to end up eventually. Like, in fact, I think the smart money on when Gearbox was getting bought out in the first place was, everyone thought Take-Two was going to do it. But, Embracer offered, at the time, more favorable terms. And once again, I brought this up last week as well. It's like, no, Embracer did not pay $1.3 billion for for Gearbox. They paid more to the tune of $350 million up front, and the rest was supposed to come from milestone payments over like the course of 6 years that would total up to, depending on the performance bonus, $1.3 billion. Obviously, that didn't pan out. How much they actually spent on Gearbox, we don't actually know, because it's not 1.3 billion, but it's also not 350 million either, because Gearbox did spend 3 years under the Embracer umbrella. So presumably there were some milestone payments there. In fact, that was the big problem with Gearbox from the mouth of the Embracer suits. As it turns out, Gearbox was not profitable because of the earmark expenses here. And that's why they're letting them go over to Take-Two. And if I can be frank, honestly, even putting all that into perspective, putting the $1.3 billion performance bonus was an exercise in absurdity in purchasing Gearbox, because here's the thing that was missed by the Embracer so-called brain trust. Gearbox didn't have that kind of upside to it. I'm honestly trying to figure out where, how, and why they arrived at that figure in regards to Embracer.
Big numbers sound good.
Sure,
if we spend money on thing, it becomes worth that amount.
Well, not necessarily, and I'm getting to this. I think Take-Two paid the more appropriate price for Gearbox, because the thing about Gearbox is, once again, what exactly were they basing this off of? I'm like, and this isn't a rhetorical question either. I'm legitimately wondering, because, let's look at their mainline franchises, aka the ones that are going with Gearbox to Take-Two.
Mm-hmm.
There's the big one. There's the one that Take-Two already had substantial investments in, and also made Gearbox being owned by other people so much more precarious, and that is Borderlands, what we got on screen right here. That is the big franchise out of Gearbox. By a country mile.
Yeah, like they had some other interesting stuff. Like they worked on Combat Evolved, the original version. There was.
Well, there's like their wholly owned franchise, Brother in Arms, but it's that was their big franchise about 20 years ago.
Yeah,
the thing
it
is,
hasn't had really a new installment in what, 5-10 years?
Probably more than that. The point is, like, Brothers in Arms is going along with Gearbox, but who cares?
Mm-hmm.
It's a dead franchise outside of the fact that, once again, it's been reported that there is going to be a Brothers in Arms TV show somewhere. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it's probably some streaming platform that we've never heard of. I'm like, anyway, also going along to the Take-Two fold is spin-off franchise Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which is technically the second biggest franchise they own, but it's still a spin-off of Borderlands.
Yeah.
So, it's like saying, if this were true, Wario is the biggest, is like the second biggest Mario spin-off series. Technically true, maybe, but, still in the Mario orbit.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, other things we got here, Duke Nukem is going to Take-Two for whatever that's worth, and the answer is, once again, not much. It's like Duke Nukem still hasn't recovered from the all-time fumble that was Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah.
We were talking about this on Sunday. Like, franchises have had bad games, legendarily bad games before. Like, a good example was Sonic. Like, Sonic has had a number of all-time stinkers.
Yeah.
And is still is still as popular as ever.
Yeah.
That might be because Sonic is much more child friendly, and thus can be merchandised a lot better than Duke Nukem, who is kind of the poster boy for late 90s raunch. He's a character who hasn't exactly aged the most gracefully.
A poster boy for this game includes an item that you can get that's just a wad of cash, that the primary purpose of it is showing it to ladies who will flash their boobies at you.
Oh, that's not even an item. You just go up to the strippers and they'll do that.
Yeah, sounds about right.
The point is, ever since that travesty hit the marketplace, Duke Nukem has only been able to get re-releases of Duke Nukem 3D off the ground, and a cameo in Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition. Like
For whatever that's worth.
You probably could make a good Duke Nukem game, but it would take some creativity. And in order to be good, it would probably have a lot of people mad at it for reasons that they would call woke.
That's a discussion for another day, I think.
Because, if you make Duke Nukem not a raging misogynist, he's probably too woke for some people.
That's just the console versions of Duke Nukem, then. Anyway, so we got their second actual biggest franchise, Risk of Rain. I'm not joking, by the way.
I know some streamers who would fucking, fight to the death for more Risk of Rain content.
Well, I mean, they got their wish when Take-Two acquired the franchise. Or, sorry, Gearbox acquired the franchise. Because Gearbox has been making new Risk of Rain content outside of the remaster of the first Risk of Rain, which is being handled by the original developer.
I don't want more Risk of Rain because I don't want to lose my power tonight.
Ha.
Yeah. Just let that slide. And finally, Homeworld, which is a very industry lauded franchise. Like if you it's your game developer friend's favorite game kind of deal.
Yeah.
In the vein of your favorite band's favorite band. That's what we're talking about here. Like Homeworld, never a big seller, but it has a rabid fan base within the game development industry. I've seen it. So that is all going to be the property of Take-Two, and that is considered to be the core constituency of Gearbox franchise. And I'm still wondering where the fuck $1.3 billion is in this field here. I'm like, Borderlands, once again, you could say Borderlands in and of itself is $1 billion franchise, but the problem is under Embracer's ownership, they didn't have the publishing rights to it.
Yeah, that was still Take-Two's.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah, they via Gearbox own the franchise, which means they could get in on the monetary value of the Gearbox movie, like provided that does well. I'm not expecting it to, but the main bread and butter, the games, both Borderlands and Teeny Tina's Wonderlands, that was under the thumb of Take-Two. The only thing that Gearbox / Embracer got was a royalty for it. So at the end, it wasn't that valuable. Also worth noting the stuff that Embracer is keeping, because it's all the extra bits they themselves bolted onto Gearbox under their ownership. That is Gearbox San Francisco, formerly Perfect World Entertainment, aka the owners of the likes of Torchlight, and much more recently Remnant. Gearbox Shanghai, which actually used to be Eidos Shanghai. I don't know why that got switched. Lost Boys Interactive, which is a curious one, because Lost Boy Interactive was actually a co-developer on Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Capture Dimensions, which is a 3D modeling firm, just like one of the random things that Embracer grabbed in their mad dash for companies. Cryptic Studios, which came along with Perfect World, which is, it's a bit odd that Cryptic Studios is being listed here because from what I understood, they had already been moved to another branch of Embracer. And finally, they retain the publishing rights to Remnant. Okay, like, I'll say Take-Two probably should have pressed for the rights to that.
Yeah.
Because like, Remnant has actually been fairly successful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Hyperlight Breaker.
Breaker or Drifter?
Breaker.
All right. Just wanted to make sure, 'cause I knew about Hyperlight Drifter. I didn't know about Hyperlight Breaker.
Yeah, apparently Gearbox had the rights to that. And other announced titles. Now, the things that Embracer are keeping, according to them, that's the stuff that actually makes money. Like, that's pretty much what the split is here. Like, that being said, like, Gearbox going to Take-Two Interactive makes the most sense. Because, once again, they're the ones who are already invested in Borderlands, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, even Duke Nukem. Remember, they were the publisher on Duke Nukem Forever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they don't want to be reminded of that, but the point is, they're the ones who had the long-term relationship, long-term publishing with Take-Two. It just made too much fucking sense for these two to hook up.
Right.
And now that has happened. Okay, there was a couple of twists and turns along the way, but the destiny has been achieved here. Unfortunately, because Take-Two is purchasing Gearbox, this has resulted in layoffs because for whatever reason, Gearbox Publishing, that isn't Gearbox Publishing San Francisco, is going along with the rest of Gearbox. Take-Two doesn't need that. Literally.
Yeah, they are their own publishing house.
Yeah, see,
they're
the way
a
it works
bigger publishing house.
Yeah, well, the way it worked under Embracer is Embracer itself doesn't have any publishing organs, per se. That's done with every individual operating group. As in, THQ Nordic handles its own business. Eidos, Crystal Dynamics does it. Gearbox handled its own business, so it needed its own publishing. Oh, some branches don't have publishing divisions, like Amplifier. They have to go to other Embracer bits to publish.
Yeah.
That's decentralization in a nutshell. Anyway, so since Take-Two has its own publishing organs, in this case, Gearbox is being folded under 2K Games. Not a surprise, because that's what Borderlands and it all have been published. So it would not make sense to fold this under, say, Rockstar. The point is, since they already have the publishing organs, that leads to the redundancies, and people have lost their jobs. Yeah. So that's unfortunate. We don't know how many people have lost their jobs, and if this is going to continue onward.
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose we'll see the full extent of the damage by June. That's when the thing is expected to close. Right. So I think that's the assessment of the situation. Anything else to add?
Borderlands is fun. You should go play them. At least 1 and 2. There were no other games, right?
All right, then. So that'll about do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. So coming up on the week ahead, well, I mean, this is a bit easy because we do have a new episode of MSP, which is going to be similar to this show, and we don't have a guest, so inside the studio there. But no Friday show this week, as that had to be delayed for various reasons. So coming up on the Sunday reviews, we'll be having reviews of Zero Wing, Loco Sort, Attack of the Karens, and Bring the Chicken Home. Sorry, that's impressions of that. That's an early access game. Anyway, so look for that on Sunday, and until then, I shall wish you good gaming.